Hello everybody and welcome. This is Mystic Juicer. I am casting match 2 in a Swiss tournament put on by ntillerman, hosted on the fantasystrike.com service. Match 2, Deluxe playing Geiger, Djister playing Trock. Djister just lost a match to Geiger as Midori. And I'm wondering if he... Oh, okay. So I don't believe none of the grapplers has an especially good time against Geiger, but Djister really likes grapplers, and he has been in most of the tournaments that he's been playing in. He has been playing exclusively Trock, Midori, and Rook, usually leading off Midori, leading into Trock, and then finishing off with Rook as his ace in the hole. So this isn't especially him thinking that Trock has a better chance against Geiger. He just really likes playing these three characters. Hearts to Djister, Grappler forever, 360 every day. So Geiger really putting the hurt on him, putting the pressure, making the call that he's going to be blocking and trying to build hand. And okay, he led with the fast time spiral. I thought it might have been the slow, which would have been especially gutsy. See how he responds. Okay, Djister chasing, running into Deluxe's block, perhaps anticipating that Deluxe would play either a cross-up normal, so that would have dealt with either a cross-up normal or a pure throw attempt, or another fast time spiral as well. Very few things due to Geiger's slow speed that would have dealt with a 2.2 speed attack, with the exception of either side of his double ace or the king. So time stop is definitely the thing that that Trock needs to work around. Nice, get some damage on the board. And so in this matchup, his queens and jacks are going to be incredibly important. As with any match against Geiger, it becomes this really tense resource management thing. You want to expend exactly the cards necessary to deal with Geiger's game plan, because in the late game, Geiger is going to build to have a massive temporal distortion combo, and can potentially, so as soon as you're at potentially as much as 70 health, you are in lethal range, one mix-up away from just losing the game. So you can't go completely crazy as Trock, first of all because you're limited by the quality of your hand draw, but also because if you spend all your high value cards dealing with a Geiger that's throwing a lot, for instance, or is just attacking with high normals or with normals of any kind, then you're going to have none of the resources you need to deal with his late game. You may just die. I mean, you may just die anyway, but you have a far higher chance of just losing the game. Nice. Djister landing a queen there. So we now have... Okay, so that was the same time spiral, which he returned with temporal distortion. Going for broke. So the nice thing here is that at least he can't get the temporal distortions back. So assuming that he deals... If he nips this in the bud... If Djister nips this in the bud now, then he can relatively... he can much more safely deal with Geiger in the late game. The more temporal distortions are gone now, the fewer he'll have going into the late game. It's conceivable that he may not draw the last ones that he needs in order to really apply that distortion finish pressure. So Djister, yeah, playing high value options. Successfully getting a block in, which is nice. Hasn't dodged yet, so he's keeping as many of Trock's 8 dodges for the late game as possible. Nice. Very, very nice. So down the 2 aces, he's put Geiger at 50. Again, spending the resources now to try to finish the game before Geiger can build up to something really terrifying. So that's 2 temporal distortions now gone. Gets the dodge. So here, this is definitely anticipating another time spiral rather than having the 5. So I think Djister at this point is making the call on Deluxe, saying you're going for an aggressive rushdown style. You may not actually be building to that single super combo. And given the 3rd temporal distortion, that would seem to make sense to me. Probably a correct read. So at this point, is it another J or is it a throw mix-up to catch another dodge? Could be a pure block, anticipating a J or Queen response from Trock. Just getting him to use up further resources. No. So Geiger is going to stay on very low hand, which is conceivably good, but my god, that damage. I'm not sure. I think that's probably a joker in hand. So I would anticipate a joker or throw, assuming that Deluxe drew a throw. With the hoping to bait a throw from Djister to keep him on low cards. Nope. Okay. Probably drew that queen because I don't see why you wouldn't just play it in the last hand. Does he have the throw? No. Sweet. Oh. Oh my god. Okay, that's even worse than I thought it was. I thought that... so Geiger's time stop actually just prevents him from attaching them, even if he doesn't follow it up with a throw. That's brutal. Wow, that's brutal. So very even life totals, but very low hand from Deluxe. Yeah, this is a tough call. He's on really low hand, so throwing more often is much more viable for Trock, and he has an infinite amount of throws, so of dominant throws, so there's never any shortage of those. It's just a matter of you don't want to give Geiger the opportunity to get throw punishes off with normals to be able to build hand that way and get back into the game. So it's really a matter of Djister being able to thread this needle. He's got 41 health to do it with. There's conceptually not very much threat from temporal distortion because 2 cards just isn't enough to... Ooh. K greater than K. Yeah. So again, nothing too bad at this point. Trock still has a lot of cards in hand, but a lot of those cards are going to look incredibly similar. They're going to be... Yeah, they're going to be attack side, throw side. Makes more sense to put some more aces in hand to be able to deal the burst damage you need. I expect Djister to throw here. Although conceivably... Hold on, spec chat. I'm experimenting with a new microphone setup, which unfortunately requires me to hold it rather than have it in a stand because it gives better sound quality. So boy, are my arms going to be tired by the end of the day. So this is a slow timer tournament, so both of these players having a lot of time to think about their options. Ooh. Yeah. That's tough. He, yeah, talked himself out of playing AA just because it's not lethal. Once it's gone, he still has to contend with a 20 health, 21 health Geiger, and conceivably if he runs into a block. Oh, that's brutal. Got to be really careful to hit my /Rs and not accidentally leak any information to anybody. Last thing I want to do is make a mistake and start just essentially ruin a game by sharing information in chat. So Deluxe is really able to get some mileage out of that temporal distortion. He's still on distortion time. He's got a ton of resources coming up, which is really unfortunate for Djister. But theoretically, everything but those Ks are gonna... Oh. Yeah, two... So had the K in hand, so he was getting the right signals. He just wasn't getting the timing right. It was gonna be throw first rather than leading off with the K. And given that Deluxe had 2 Ks come up with research and development, I'm anticipating that he just plays the K here, hoping that Trock will get nervous and beat out his AA. And it's a really tough valuation issue because three of his Ks are already in the grave. So how likely is it that he's going to... Oh, okay. Not willing to... Yeah, okay, anticipating the AA as well, just hoping that to finish it more... I mean, conceivably, block K or block from Trock is still an okay button, because he's not with so few cards in hand. Geiger may not have an option that beats block. Willing to take the 50-50 of a mix-up normal in order to stand up and have access to dodges. Oh. And that is probably game unless Djister has a joker. Nope. Down 2. Geiger is absolutely terrifying. As a... both of them separately whispering to me. Yeah, and that's the grappler's life versus Geiger. It's just it's a rough it's a rough matchup against Geiger. He just shuts down. His time stop ability is so oppressive in almost in all of these matchups. It can really be incredibly difficult to thread the needle and get something going. So Rook, I can't remember who it was, but I believe it might have been Riker mentioned that, or no, I think it was Juchichi actually, mentioning that Rook has feels like the better tools in order to deal with Geiger out of all three grapplers, which I can see. He has special blocks which he can conceivably use in the early game, because you're guaranteed you're going to get Geiger's going to throw Jays at least in the early game, because he can get them back in the late game if he absolutely needs them. So that can shut down a lot of stuff. It can deal a little bit of damage. He also has J, which undercuts fast time spiral, and Q theoretically to undercut slow time spiral. Yeah, so he's gonna be pushing those buttons often enough to try to undercut. And at worst, if he catches a throw, then he'll be able to lead into something like J78, which is 19 damage, which is pretty close to Rook's cap of 24. There we go. Nice. Push it again. So Deluxe possibly thinking, now that you've played one, very unlikely that you're going to play another immediately afterwards. And Djister playing to that. So Djister follows up with either a 7 and 8, or Queen, or 10. Yeah, 10 is nice. Keeps his hand up a little bit. He's already at 7 cards to a 10 card Geiger. So not a very comfortable place to be. For some reason I'm thinking this is like a 5. Because there's lower incentive for Rook to block in this matchup than anything else. Yes, with all of one card in the discard, I'm calling this as a normal. High normal. Nope. Nice. That's exactly what you want as Rook. So this next turn is going to be fairly important, this combat reveal. J is a very good option here, although just a low normal into J is also very effective. If Djister leads with a 5, which is his fastest normal or his second fastest normal on these turns, it's still only going to put it at 2.8, so another fast time spiral will undercut it. Although conceivably he can then... The only issue here is that rock armor is not really a threat unless Djister wants to go very low hand. Which, considering that Geiger is at 9 cards already, is a really dicey proposition. Although he definitely doesn't want to reveal block and get thrown here. That would be really bad feeling. Excellent. Yeah. Good. So that's one less K he has to deal with throughout the rest of the game. So AA becomes progressively more powerful the more kings are gone. And the only thing that Geiger really has to respond is a non-time spiral cycloid revolution at 0.0 speed, which is, don't get me wrong, I mean potentially still 40 damage, assuming you have the double pump, but the fewer Ks you have to deal with, the more rock armor becomes effective. So the slow time spirals are now coming out. Gets the throw. So the nice thing is Rook also has the highest health of any of the grapplers, so there is a little bit more to chew through. But it's still a really bad position to be in. So 9 cards in hand for Geiger. I expect either a block or a dodge here, to be honest. But that's probably just what I would want, so that I could throw. I could wake up throw as rook. It's possible. There's a lot of possibilities this could be. It could be a cross-up normal that will lead into stuff. Tough call, taking the time. Nice. Really needed that. So now he's on neutral. His blocks are again much more effective than they would be on the ground. What he really wanted to have revealed right then was the king. But it's so risky on a high hand Geiger who's willing to just stuff and throw a jack or a queen, especially once he pulled the jack back in. So successfully using that piece of information to cover the fact that he was going to play a cross-up normal. I don't feel like I know Geiger well enough to be able to say what his hand quality is. We know there's at least one J in there. Conceivably also at least two aces. Rook is now on high hand, making a dodge or a block more likely, but no. Going for the time stop. Difficult call here, whether you want to face down. Yeah, okay. Could have been worse. Just putting the life totals fairly close to each other. So a lot of resources now temporarily removed from Geiger's hand. Geiger's manly straight is just really good in this match. 5, 6, 7. Especially with 1, 4 already gone. Speed 0.6, yeah. So unless you attack with a 4. If you attack with any normal higher, you're going to have to rock armor to deal with it. Oh, that feels so bad. Yeah, I'm unapologetically cheering for Djister in this. Not only because he's awesome and I really like him, but he plays grapplers, which automatically makes him great people, but he's also really friendly, and he's definitely, all three of the characters he chooses to play are the underdog against Geiger, and Deluxe's Geiger is no joke. Deluxe has had a lot of high tournament finishes, won several tournaments in a row quite recently. So really strong competitor, and a tough matchup. And that is definitely why I'm trying to figure out who I would play against this, because I would not. I don't relish the thought of playing Rook against any of the Geigers that are currently on the scene. Nice. Absolutely needed that. This isn't going to put him out of temporal distortion, I believe. Yeah, because it's not an attack or throw, so he's still in temporal distortion. But that was absolutely a combat win that Djister needed. And very nice use of the AA bait to get that going. I'm wondering if he just super throws right here. I don't expect Deluxe to do anything but attack on this round. It would be pretty crazy. Although the mix-up is really strong here, right? If Djister lands the Wall of Vines with AA, Deluxe is at 29, Temporal Distortion's gone, and he's at 6 cards. On the other hand, if he gets hit with Checkmate Buster, it's over. Maybe he takes the risk and is willing to go to the next game. Nice. Had the second one. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Great. Absolutely, completely, 100% necessary combat wins for Djister to get back in this game. And now things are looking much, much closer. Djister is ballsy enough to play Checkmate Buster. Unlike me, he will actually play that as a combat option, so you do have to be worried about it. Excellent. Really, really being smart about not letting Deluxe back into the game. The 3 doesn't work on Jokers, but just that is absolutely a combat win. That is absolutely a combat win for Rook in this situation. Keeping Geiger to low cards. The more this goes on, the more I like Checkmate Buster as a combat reveal, but it's still, it's like it goes from a 1 from a 1 option to a 1.2 option out of a 10-point scale in terms of how much I like it. Would have landed there, but there's no way to predict that. So Geiger looking for tools. Probably, I expect a Time Spiral or a King. King beating both sides of the ace mix-up. If Djister has another special block, that would be conceivably very nice. It feels like he's pushed Deluxe off of throwing for the moment, just because both of those options lose to the ace option. Yeah. Deluxe may be successfully making the call of, first of all, being willing to take 20 and lose Temporal Distortion, which makes me think that he possibly has another Joker in hand. Cross up normal here, or King? Although he hasn't been willing to play. He wasn't willing to play King into knockdown versus Troc last round. So possible that he does play it here, expecting a panic button from Djister. Or he just plays another Time Spiral, expecting another block. Or cross up normal. Probably, my money's on cross up normal. It's relatively safe. It prevents Checkmate Buster. Tense game. Really tense game. Nice. Makes the block. Geiger now at 4 cards. And it would, at this point, be pretty hilarious for Djister to power up for that 4th ace that it turns out he didn't have the whole time. There we go. Finally pulled the AA trigger. Really glad that he didn't lose 4 aces to a 6 there. Yeah, immediately going to power up. Especially with queens. They're just not as good as just having another 2 aces. Geiger's still in this. He can take another AA. He's definitely not in lethal range yet. Until he goes to 24, he's not going to be. And considering the amount of Qs and Js that Djister has had to play to get to this position, very unlikely that 24 is even a possibility. At this point, unless it's AA. Oh. It's just so painful. It's so painful to see. No. Tough one, tough one. The problem with yeah, I have a lot of emotions about that card. Many feels are contained within the throw side of Rook's Checkmate Buster. Most of them bad. Most of them very bad feels. But man, if you land it, it's just the greatest. It's the greatest emotion. So it's just, yeah, it's like, you know, don't do Checkmate Buster. Winners don't do drugs and they don't play Checkmate Buster. But Djister has been able to find that, so it's entirely possible he has just a much better read on players. It just didn't happen to work out. Responding now to so Geiger has basically never thrown this entire game until now. Yeah, down to 6, sorry, because of +1 from temporal distortion. So now any of the, oh boy, yeah. So as Djister, you have to respond to Fast Time Spiral. I expect Deluxe just to play it here. It just doesn't make any sense not to, so I really hope that Djister has a special block in hand. Ideally a 3, because the 5 isn't going to give you all that much more than, yes, excellent, good, 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 good. So he's still in this, still has, he still has to ice skate uphill, but Deluxe now has to consider his option a little more carefully than he did previously. He has used up all aces, so the fastest attack he has is now a king. And only 1 king in discard, so if I have one as Deluxe, I play it here. I play as many kings in a row as it takes to put Rook out of his misery. Tough call. A block just means so much safety. A successful block of AA means so much safety for Geiger in this position. Oh my god. You know what? Great play. Great play. Yes. Yeah, Deluxe. We all definitely Metal Gear Solid alerted guard noises right there. Jesus. Of all the things I thought were in Djister's hand right there, I did not expect that to be one of them. So he has some information. Deluxe is responding to AA. If I have king here, I definitely mash it now. I absolutely mash it as Geiger, because I've indicated with my block that I'm afraid of ace and I don't have an aggressive answer to it. So just has to evaluate how likely he thinks. Oh, tough way to go. Tough way to go. So hype games. Yeah. With only 1 in the grave, it's tough not to. Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult to make that call. Really tough to make that call. GG's. Luckily, it's a Swiss tournament, so we get more Djister action. I'm going to be following him through the bracket because Rook is basically the only character I really know how to play, and there's a higher chance of him playing Rook than anybody else. So stay tuned, and we'll catch the next match when it happens. Thank you.